Hey, this is Dave at the Rogue Waxworks, and this video is going to be a best practices to use my new vaporizer, the Terpedo. It's a pretty simple concept. It's just like a vaponic. Heat the glass tube. It gets conduction and convection. Just uses a little bit of herb and produces great flavor in big clouds. So here's pretty much the device. It's two pieces and two O-rings. The O-rings don't seem to want to go in straight. I am working on getting a different size, but these work now. If you buy one of these and you have any issues with your O-rings, they will need to be cleaned occasionally. Please give me a holler, and when I do get it figured out, I'll send you different O-rings. So first, it's just two pieces. In order to put it together, here is the easiest way to do it. Two O-rings here. I place the highest one right at the edge of the last dimple, and then the next one a little below it. Just slide it on. It might not come in straight. It doesn't matter. It really just has to seal. This is fully on. When in use, I tend to push it up a little bit, just keeping the seal still there, just to create this little air space. Also, it isn't in there straight all the time, so if you can straighten it out, that helps a little bit. Sometimes it'll get a little hotter on one side than the other, but it shouldn't have any kind of real negative effect. So that is sort of the position while in use. I found after like 20 uses or so of heavy uses, I ended up having to clean this whole section with alcohol. I just left these on. I wiped it all down, rolled them out to get them moved and cleaned them again. And then I cleaned this section in here with alcohol, and I went right back to being able to roll them down. When this gets greasy, oily, any kind of hand oils, even some resin, it can become more slippery. So this is the same system I use with the mouthpieces, and I haven't had any issues with it. As long as you clean it occasionally, it should work fine. Most of these devices are intended to be used without a screen, but you can easily put a screen in them. Some of them I do and some I don't. This one I haven't been using a screen with, but basically what I do is I just take a regular round screen and I cut it into a strip that'll fit in there. I make it into basically an upside down U or an N, and I put it in points going down like that. And then I'll use some kind of a tool to just push it down there. Sometimes it'll straddle the dimple, and sometimes it'll go across, but this works really well. You can also do it upside down, whatever works for you, but I find that's the best solution for these vapes that I make with the little dimple. So for this one, I'm just going to use a really small nug. Here it is. I just tore it off. It's my homegrown, so if you buy the dispenser, it might be a little bit more dense, but it's really designed to be used with nugs. One thing you can do is when you put a nug in there, it'll act as its own little screen, and then you can put other ground flour on top, and you could probably use half the nug and then ground flour. For today's demo, I'm just going to use this little bit. You can see maybe it's a little more than maybe a Dynavap's worth. We have our small air gap up there, and we're ready to go. This is a standalone. You can hit it like that. It can also be used with any kind of mouthpiece or J-hook you want, like that, or like that. We'll just use the stem because it'll be the easiest for the heating demo. When you heat it and hit it, you don't necessarily want to turn it upside down because sometimes your ground flour especially can fall out and it will combust inside if it touches this glass. So for heating, the key is to heat between the air intake and the top of the tube. I don't heat the top ever. I just don't do it because it's probably the most delicate part and would be the most prone to cracking, but it's really just not necessary. With a big torch like this is about the same size as the Blazer. A torch like this may take less or more time. This has a much wider flame, but with this big Blazer, it's just about, I start with 20 seconds and then I go to 5-second intervals after that. So we'll first go with 20 seconds. We'll see what it looks like. And I basically just turn it sort of like a Dynavap and just go up and down. So that's about 20 seconds. "20 seconds gets me a nice cloud, a very terpy hit. You can see there's no real brown on the outside yet. This vape is a heat builder, so once it gets hot, just sit with it and see where it gets to. It retains heat really well. You can see I think I've reached a very good temperature. We're getting a little bit of brown on the outside. There's no need to stir with this one. More than anything, it's a matter of starting small with less heat, 10 to 15 seconds, see where you're at. Add it in 5-second increments until where you get it where you want it. This is just perfect for me. If I had gone a little less, I'd have just added 5 seconds and really blown it out at the end. This down here below the blowhole, it definitely, or the air intake, it definitely will get warm. But with that bowl, you can still easily remove it and hold on to it. If you did like 2 or 3 back-to-back bowls, it might get pretty warm. You can see my ABV. It looks really nice. Not too dark anywhere. This thing extracts really well. And I found that using that technique will give you really good results. If you do something different, you have great results, please let us know. Thanks and enjoy.